And finally, new rule, Melania Trump must do what dozens of buildings around the world have done and take the Trump name off.
And the voters, they get it. They've read it, they get it. And it's already come out. Every single channel is calling it election interference. Ready?
It's not anti-feminist to say that in addition to doing everything men can do intellectually, women also have another power. The power of the ultimatum.
Okay, stop right there. Let's just appreciate the level of shade packed into that one opening line. Maher isn't just suggesting a name change. He's proposing a full rebrand, the kind you do when your hotel is full of bed bugs. Yelp reviews are at 1.7 stars, and you're being sued by 3 ex-business partners and a rat infestation. But here's the kicker. He's not even really talking about the buildings. He's talking about Melania's entire existence. Her identity, Melania Trump, is now so radioactive, even Bill's audience, half-baked off Pinot Noir, knows she needs to tap out. Then he throws in this clever twist, saying women have the power of the ultimatum. That's not sexist, that's strategic commentary. In Trump world, everyone caves to pressure. Donors, aides, even Congress. But Melania? She's the last person with actual leverage. Maher's saying, if you told him to quit, if you said I'm out, the MAGA house of cards might actually collapse. That's not a punchline. That's an invitation to a revolution wrapped in a real-time joke. This wasn't a joke about feminism. It was a tactical nudge, a wink to Melania saying, you can still be the plot twist that ends the series.
Melania Trump has been in the news a lot lately. I was talking about her in the monologue, and she's on the cover of Us Weekly with this cover, my side of the story.
It was 3 against 1. Trump got humiliated by Kamala, the moderators, and by himself, primarily.
And the voters, they get it. They've read it, they get it. And it's already come out. Every single channel is calling it election interference. Ready?
What if she had someone to do it with? Divorce is always easier in pairs. What if you had a buddy, Melania? You are not to ever again mention the bride catalog's return policy.
Now this is classic Maher. He takes a tabloid and turns it into a thesis. Us Weekly isn't high journalism, but it is how most Americans absorb stories about Melania. And that's the genius. He's not just clowning her, he's setting up the real roast. Trump's total failure as a public figure, partner, and political gladiator. Let's talk about that 3 against 1's line. Trump got cooked by Kamala, the moderators, and as Maher said, himself. This isn't comedy, it's forensic political breakdown. Maher showing how Trump loses even when the deck's stacked, and Melania, she's watching it all unfold on the cover of a magazine, trapped in a silent PR nightmare. But the real stab is this. What if she had someone to do it with? Divorce is easier in pairs. That's not just a throwaway line. It's planting the idea of a mutiny, a Melania plus mystery partner co-escape, like an Ocean's 11 spinoff, Ocean's 2, the prenup job, and that final jab, the bride catalog return policy, brutal. Maher's implying Trump is not just a bad husband, he's expired merchandise, the kind you regret ordering, but now you're stuck trying to figure out if the store takes used returns. It's layered satire, but with stakes. Maher's not joking for fun, he's building a narrative. Melania, you've got a lifeboat. Will you row or drown with the ship?
And finally, new rule, Melania Trump must do what dozens of buildings around the world have done and take the Trump name off.
If you're going under for surgery, the last thing you want to hear your doctor say is, don't worry, I'm mentally stable and, like, really smart.
Harry, you're married to the man who runs Fox News. You're married to the man who made Brexit happen.
He went on about crowd size and how Biden is to blame for his crowds not being big, and then his teleprompter went out.
You used to be married to Mick Jagger, and now you're married to a guy who looks like Keith Richards let himself go.
This section right here, this is when Maher goes full Shakespeare in shade. First, he parodies Trump's obsession with telling people he's really smart and mentally stable, which, as we all know, is exactly what you say when you're neither. That's like walking into surgery and hearing the doctor say, don't worry, I've totally watched Grey's Anatomy. But then he flips to Melania's POV again, and now it gets dark and funny. He brings up her ex, Mick Jagger, literal rock legend, symbol of youth, edge, rebellion, and says now she's married to a version of Keith Richards if he just gave up. That line's a nuclear bomb. It doesn't just attack Trump's looks, it hits his entire self-image. Because let's be honest, Trump sees himself as the rich, powerful playboy type, and Maher is saying, nah bro, you're just a bloated dad bod in a wig who traded sex appeal for subpoenas. But again, it's not just about him, it's about her. Melania's gone from high fashion photo shoots and jet set life to desperately pretending she's okay holding hands with a guy whose blood type is probably just Diet Coke. Maher's message: this isn't a fairy tale, it's a horror reboot starring the wrong lead.
It's not anti-feminist to say that in addition to doing everything men can do intellectually, women also have another power. The power of the ultimatum.
When a prize fighter loses a fight, the first words out of his mouth are, I want a rematch. Polls clearly show that I won the debate against comrade Kamala Harris.
They rigged the election. The election was rigged. I didn't rig it. They did.
He's actually right about some of that. He didn't rig the election. He tried to rig the election.
Is there anyone left who can check Donald Trump? Yes. Melania.
Now we're entering the denial phase of Trump's meltdown, and Maher is poking every raw nerve. First, let's appreciate how Trump mispronounces Kamala as Kamala. Classic Trump tactic: strip away identity by butchering the name. It's juvenile, but for his audience, it's red meat. Maher doesn't let it slide. Instead, he highlights it to mock the delusion and the strategy, and that's when he drops the hammer. He didn't rig the election, he tried to rig the election. That line is so surgical, the entire Trump legal defense team probably flinched in unison. It cuts through years of propaganda and courtroom drama in one sentence. And just like that, Maher flips the script. Trump's not a victim. He's not even a loser. He's a failed villain, the kind of guy who couldn't even cheat correctly. For Melania watching at home, that's gotta sting, because she didn't marry a martyr or a mastermind. She married a guy who couldn't even finish the con. This isn't just commentary. This is a psychological deconstruction, and Maher's doing it with punchlines instead of paragraphs.
Maybe it falls to you now, Melania. You can end this reign of terror, and all you have to do is channel your inner Taylor Swift and walk out the door.
Being like really smart is not the same thing as being really smart, sir.
The man who got Trump elected and keeps his base ignorant. The man who killed Australia's carbon tax. I know he's rich, but is it worth Western civilization? But they left out my favorite feature in Us Weekly, which is the 25 things you don't know about me. Do you read about this?
And failed to rig the election. He's a rignoramus is what he is.
This is where Maher turns the comedy into a call to action. He's not just joking anymore. He's pitching Melania a role, not as first lady, not as reluctant wife, but as the hero who ends it all. Channel your inner Taylor Swift. That's a savage double hit, referencing empowerment and escape in one shot. But it also acknowledges the branding of Melania, because right now her legacy is tied to a guy whose entire public image is crumbling. Lawsuits, indictments, truth social tantrums, the whole collapse. Maher is giving her a rebrand. Be the one who leaves. Be the wife who walked away from the chaos, the corruption, the creepiness. But then he turns back to Trump, talking about the man who keeps his base ignorant and killed Australia's carbon tax. It's Maher reminding everyone, this isn't just a messy marriage. It's global damage wrapped in fake tan. And when he says, is it worth Western civilization? That's not hyperbole. That's the thesis. If the last person with access to the button doesn't press eject soon, we're all stuck on a flight with no pilot, no wings, and a screaming toddler in the cockpit.
Your unhappiness is obvious. You despise his creepy little monkey fingers touching your hand.
Still trying to convince the MAGAverse that he didn't blow it on Tuesday night against Kamala Harris, even though he is clearly terrified of facing her again.
Because there's another former model who's also married to a super-rich Republican monster, Mrs. Rupert Murdoch, Jerry Hall.
They rigged the election. I didn't rig the election. They rigged the election. What they do is they rig the election, and then they go around getting people and persecuting people and prosecuting people that did nothing wrong.
This final clip is the kill shot. No more innuendo, no more metaphor. Maher just straight up says it, Melania, you are miserable. He brings up the infamous hand yank. You know the one, the most uncomfortable hand-holding moment in political history. Then he mocks Trump's fingers like a rejected cartoon villain and compares Melania to Jerry Hall, another ex-model married to a media monster. But that's the key insight here. He's saying you're not special. There's a pattern. Rich men, powerful platforms, and beautiful women who slowly realize the gold isn't worth the cage. Maher's commentary here feels almost cruel because it's so true. You can fake smiles at events. You can pretend it's fine, but your face already gave you away. And now, so have the jokes. Melania isn't a first lady anymore. She's a meme, a metaphor, a cautionary tale with a $50,000 coat and no exit strategy. And Maher just made sure everyone noticed